Hello and welcome back to a new video. It's been a while. I think it's been like 2 months since I've last done a video. This is not an opening, this is going to be a deck profile, a deck that I've been using that has been doing really well across a few leagues and a couple of league cups. And that is the single strike Lugia V-Star. I will show off all the cards here. They're all going to be physical cards, so there won't be anything like popping up on the screen. To start off, we have 3 Lugia V-Stars. These can be your attackers against like Lost Box Pokemon and maybe a few others. Important to note that if you're going against Miraidon, you don't want to have this in your active because it is weak to lightning and you want to get your summoning star done fairly quick. So yeah, so there's your 3 Lugia V-Stars. Obviously use it for summoning star, which you then put in your Archeop, put on your bench, and then you can then take advantage of the special energy acceleration. So with the 3 Lugia V-Stars, obviously you need your Vs, and that's why you run 4. You want 4 because you want to maximize the amount you have and not have as many problems if maybe one was prized or anything like that. But yeah, you have 4. I have used a couple of these attacks. Read the Wind's really good if you can't get your Archeops in the discard quick enough. So you discard 1, draw 3. It's helped a lot with digging for V-Stars and just overall filling out the deck. And so that's it for the Vs. And obviously with this deck you will need 4 Archeopses. And here's my days. I do have 1, which is the Silver Tempest stamp, which if you look in my videos a bit behind you see. You use it for Primal Turbo, which is once during your turn you may search your deck up to 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle the deck. Really good. A really good ability. Even if you have 1 on your bench, you still have good chances of getting all your acceleration, and you have a good chance of winning. And you can even use Archeops, which I have used for Lost Box because it's weak Pokemon. They're under 100 HP, so Speed Wing 120. A nice, easy attacker. Cheap attacker as well, because you can build it up quite quick. Next are the single strike Pokemon. We have 2 copies of Tyranitar V. Cracklanch, which does 60 damage for 1 dark, 2 colorless. Discard top 2 of your deck. Really good against Lost Box matchups. This deck's really good overall. As mentioned, Miraidon EX, maybe Lost Box Raikou can be a challenge. But Raikous are quite weak Pokemon, so you can easily 1KO it with anything. Any of your big attackers at least. But you do utilize Single Strike Crush for 2 dark, 2 colors for 240. If powered up correctly, it can do 320 with the Single Strike energies, which I'll go on in later on in a little bit. And so yeah, but you do discard the top 4 cards of your deck, which can be quite important because it depends on what those cards are. It could be a Boss's Orders, it could be Thornton, it could be anything. So yeah, so this is your one punch attacker because it's really good against big HP Pokemon like Giratina V-Star. Next we run 1 copy of Duraludon Single Strike. This is mainly because we want to utilize Duraludon VMAX, which is this one, for its Skyscraper ability, so prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have special energy attached. Really good against most matchups like Mew, especially now Fusion Strike Mew, the fusion variant, has become popular again, despite it becoming unpopular when Drapion V entered. But now Drapion V's kind of fizzled out a little bit. It's come back in full force and did win a couple of regionals. And yeah, they use Fusion Strike energies, which is obviously a special energy, so you won't be able to attack it, as well as double Turbo energy. And for 1 fighting, 2 metal for 220, and this damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So that can include Gudra V-Star with the negative 80, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. It just dishes the negative 80 and just hits for a full 220, which is going to be very, very good. Downside though, with running a 1-1 line, can get prized. Even these two, either one can get prized, and can be a little bit harder to get your access for those. But overall, quite a very good attacker and can attack other Duraludon VMAXs as well. Next, we have a 1 copy of Stonejourner, mainly for electric type matchups, which are weak to fighting, but is overall a very good single prizer attacker for 120 and 60. if done properly, with the single strike energies, it can boost it up to about 180, 160, which is very good and can help start weakening V Pokemon, as well as take out a lot of other single strike attackers, or single prize attackers, sorry. And is overall it's just mainly needed for the Miraidon matchups or any electric type matchups, because for the weakness. And yeah, a Pokemon which I might consider taking out is Radiant Serena. This purpose is for primarily main Lost Box matchups, with the ability to heal 20 damage for each of my Pokemon, to slow down, stabilize 120 damage with the 10 Lost Zone ability. That attack's quite good, especially with other Lost Box or Guard of War decks, where you have mainly Pokemon with less than 100 HP. So you just build it up. But for this, you heal 20, which is good. Heal anything, doesn't matter, and it's just you can get stuck in the active with the double retreat cost, but I'm considering taking it out and maybe putting Radiant Jirachi in there, mainly for the ability for when it's knocked out. You can search for any cards you want, 3 cards I think, and if you're lucky and you roll double heads, you can knock out anything, but my luck with that would be awful. Another card considering taking out is Yveltal Single Strike. This is mainly for the Mew matchups. However, I would really consider just keeping Tyranitar in, because it's just type weakness, and Tyranitar can just hit Mew for 1 KO, while Yveltal can knock out Vs in 1 KO, cannot knock out V maxes, I don't think. Maybe it can if you set it up properly. So with 3 darks, that would be 3 single strike energies. That would be 170 times that by 2. Yeah, 340, I think. So yeah, it would be able to knock it out, but personally, I don't go against Mew that a lot. I don't go against a lot. I play Mew a little bit. What I tend to see is Lost Box. A lot of Lost Box. Rarely another Lugia player, but it's just all Lost Box currently. The most popular deck in the format. It's quite good. I might consider playing it. But yeah. Another Pokemon which has become very in handy, but also a bit of a downside, is 2 copies of Lumineon V, with its ability Lumineous Sign, where you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench. You can look for any supporter card, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle it deck. Very good for getting Archeops in the discard pile. That's what I primarily use it for. It's for Professor Brunette if it's not prized. Can discard 2 cards I want from my deck. Obviously that'll be 2 Archeopses. Very handy, but as mentioned, it's 170 HP. It's an easy to prize your target, weakness to lightning, but does have a 1 retreat cost, but makes it very good. So yeah, it's a bit of a 50-50, benefit and the loss, but has helped me win matches before. An optional card is Dunsparce for the ability Mysterious Nest. Normal Pokemon in play, both mine and opponents have no weaknesses. Very good for Miraidon matches, because then they can't hit you for weakness, and Raikou Lost Box matches. But it is a bench space, and that's it. It's just a bench space, which can be hard for when you want both Archeopses, a Lugia, maybe a Tyranitar, maybe a Duraludon on your bench. So it'd be a bit hard, but early game quite very good. As mentioned, Professor Brunette. A 1/1 copy. Downside is it does get prized, but it's a very, very good supporter with discarding any 2 cards I want. That's always double Archeops. I rarely discard anything else. And then that just allows me to have easy access to Archeops when Lugia V-Star comes into play. Another trainer that's very good for just cheating Archeops. Grab it. There we go. Is Xena's Resolve. I can only play this card if I discard 2 cards from my hand, mainly Archeops. As mentioned, it's going to be a lot of that. And then I can draw for each card my opponent has, and that's very good if you're going against Lost Box, as mentioned, because they like to fill up all their benches. That's 6, draw 6. Very good for digging for Lugia V-Stars or Drowdon or Tyranitar or anything you need. It's overall just a good ditch. Archeops, grab what you want, kind of gives me type stuff, which is very, very useful. Another one copy of Serena has 2 moves. Mainly use discard up to 3 cards in my hand, then draw 2. I have 5. Or you can use it as a kind of boss's orders with switching out a benched Pokemon V to active. I don't often use it, but I have used it in other decks and I know it's useful. So it's always good to have as a backup, because You can always pick and choose. A card that I should probably add more of is Thornton. Choose a basic Pokemon in discard pile and switch it with one basic Pokemon in play. Primary example was when I played on Friday. I had Lumineon on my bench, Tyranitar on my discard because it got knocked out. Play this, swap the two, build up single strike energies, and it was knockout, and that was game for me. But downside is any attached cards, damage counter, special conditions, then go on whatever Pokemon you switch in. But it's a very, very good supporter. Probably should have one more in. Another one copy of Choice Belt. Only one because starting to see more EXs come into play, especially after Paldea evolved. This is filmed on the 30th of May, and yesterday I did play in the pre-release. I did not do well because I got the Murkrow box, which I didn't really like. I didn't like that sort of mechanic, but oh well, I got the promo. I like the promos, and it was a good experience. But yeah, so when that set officially releases, there's probably going to be more EXs in the format, such as I think it's Chimpao, the Water One EX. That's a very good. That's got a very good ability and a very good attack. So only running one because people are going to switch over to EXs from, well, pretty much now. I don't play many EXs. I have played a few Gardevoirs and a few Oinkolones. Oinkolone's a tough one, but it's possible with Tyranitar for 1 KO in them. Now, so some more cards for the item cards now. Capturing Aroma. There's been debate on whether to play Capturing Aroma or Great Ball. I personally like Capturing Aroma to dig for. I mean, it's kind of a guarantee you can get something, but then also you're at the fate of a coin, whether you want heads an evolution Pokemon, so that's Lugia V-Star, Archeops, Drowdon VMAX, or a basic Lugia, Tyranitar V, Drowdon V, Stonejourner, Serena, anything. And it's a good searching tool. I do use it quite a lot. I did used to run 4, but now I run 2, just because this is what this deck list prefers. Next is 2 copies of Mesagoza. Very handy, but like Catching Aroma, you're up to the fate of a coin flip or a die roll, but can search for any Pokemon I want, and that's become very, very useful in games. However, my luck tends to be that I don't roll the heads, and yeah, oh well, just how it is. And then, just like other normal decks, 2 copies of Boss's Orders to switch up anything I want. Very good for targeting certain Pokemon, maybe like Raikou V for Lost Box matchups, for maybe Genesect for Mew, or even for Lugia. Lugia Vs are very good to stop that delay of getting the Lugia V-Star, or maybe other Tyranitars, and that's just basic with every deck really. This deck also runs 3 copies of Professor's Research. Discarding a hand, draw 7, can be very useful if you just run out of ideas or run out of options to play, or you have Archeops in your hand and you want to get into your discard. I do used to run 4, but personally run 3 because I wanted to make room for these 2 trainers, which is Judge. 2 copies of Judge to make your opponent's time a bit harder with maybe judging them into a bad hand, but then also you can judge your opponent into a good hand, which I've had myself, and also judge someone else into a really good hand. Can be a bit tough, but it's just up to whatever fate it is really. It's just a bit of luck whether you can hit what you want or anything like that. As a staple with this deck, 4 Ultra Balls, discarding 2, get 1, discarding Archeops, so you can get that Summoning Star ability. You want to have this turn 1, you really want to go turn 1 every game, but I think most people know that for Lugia, you want to go first, so they'll make you go second, but then that's also quite good because you can play Professor Brunette if you have it, or as mentioned, you can Lumineon for those. Also, 2 Nest Balls, search for anything, search for a basic, put it onto the bench. Will say you cannot use Lumineon if you do this, so because it's supposed to go from your hand to your bench, which can be a little bit of a tough time. But you can get your Lugias, Tyranitars, Drowdons, anything you want, really, any basic Pokemon, and that's also quite useful for certain matchups. For recycling energies, you run 3 copies of Urn of Vitality. Very good card for even when, so say you want to Ultra Ball, you can Ultra Ball them and then fish them back out with Earn. Very useful. I do have one of each. I do even have the one with the Pokemon Play logo in the background. I don't open as many of the promo packs because they are quite useful just to keep hold of, and they look really cool. So yeah, so that's that for recycling energies. On to the topic of energies, we will be running 3 copies of Impact Energy. These are for fusion. These are for single strike Pokemon and cover. They are a rainbow energy, so they cover anything I want. Mainly use these for Duraludon because single strike energies only cover dark and fighting. So for the 2 metal requirements for Duraludon, you need 2 impact energies to use them. Pretty useful, but can be used for any other Pokemon as well. It's not just limited to anything. As mentioned, it's a rainbow energy, so it's very useful for just charging up your single strike attackers. Onto the Lugia ones a little bit. 2 copies of V-Guard energy, -30 against V Pokemon. Very useful, obviously, against V Pokemon, but is useless against like Lost Bot matches that don't run any Vs. So it's a bit of a hit and miss, so that's why I run 2, personally, because it's just like that. For Lugia V-Stars, also, 3 double turbo, although they're -20, you're still hitting for 200 or 180. I have chosen to do 180 with just 2 double turbos, because if it's against Lost Box, you don't need high attackers, you just want them knocked out in your prize cards, and then you can get your prize cards when you knock them out. So yeah, so that's 3 double turbos. Next are the last energies for Lugia are 3 gift energies. So when a Pokemon is knocked out, you can draw 2. You have 7 cards in your hand. Very useful if you're just stuck and you need more draws. You can just sacrifice something like a Lumineon V, and then you can just keep drawing. And oftentimes your opponent will try and not attack you to stop you from getting this gift energy search, which is very useful for playing it off and see what you can get top deck. And for the single strike Pokemon, last cards of the deck, we have single strike energies. These cover fighting and dark and give me a boost of 20 damage, with 4 of them being 80. Very useful. Tyranitar, as mentioned, can hit for 320, 350 with a choice belt. That's knocking out everything in the meta right now. Every V Pokemon at least, or even EXs. 320 I think can knock out Gardevoir EX. I don't think it's enough for Magnezone EX, but it's 10 off, and that's a lot of damage, especially. So yeah, so that's the Lugia V-Star deck list. I'll probably pin it in the comments below. I'll type out the deck list and see if you want to play it. It's a very fun deck, however, it does brick a lot, meaning that you can get in dead ends. It's hard to deal with, but when I played last Friday, I got no bricks, and I was very happy with that. So yeah, I might make more of these type of videos. Let me know in the comments below if you would want certain deck lists. I have one more deck to hand that I can make, or I have that I play, which is Mew. It's a white version of Mew, and it's done also very well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.